The Carolina Hurricanes made some big moves this offseason, including the addition of Nikolaj Ehlers. Zach Martin of Locked On Hurricanes is here to talk about that and where the Canes stand as we get set for training camp. All that and more on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show my long-lost cousin, Zach Martin of Locked On Hurricanes. And Zach, it's been an interesting offseason in Carolina. You know, here's a team that has been a consistent winner during the regular season for many years, but has had a little trouble getting as far as they want to get in the playoffs. And yet they go out and add Nikolaj Ehlers, K'Andre Miller. What are your thoughts about these additions and how they're going to fit in Carolina?
Yeah, of course. And obviously, thank you as always for the invite, cousin Gil. Nice always talking to you about hockey. But yeah, no, the additions of Ehlers and Miller, I think it's really interesting how the Hurricanes, knowing the fact that the cap went up, they got, some contracts went out the door. They had, I think at the time was like the fifth highest payroll available going to free agency. And then it's, what are they going to do? And you see them, extend Logan Stankoven. And of course, then you said the sign and trade with K'Andre Miller, which I don't think anyone really saw coming. That was kind of like everyone was surprised by that one. But yeah, you talk about Nikolaj Ehlers, and I think while the Miller addition's really great, I don't mind it at all. I think getting Ehlers is probably one of the biggest moves the Hurricanes need to make, and they got it done because everyone knows it's top six scoring. The Hurricanes need it. The Hurricanes need to find the extra scoring. They need to find that guy who can put the game on its head and stuff like that and change the tempo of it. And that's what Ehlers is. You look at his speed, he was always like in the 80, 90th percentile in 20 to 22 mile an hour burst, 18 plus, top speed. And the fact that he can score too. Yeah, he's not a 30 goal scorer, but he still gives you 20 to 26. He can hit 30 if he stays healthy. There's a chance he could hit 30, especially with the guys, depending on who he's on the line with. But you're adding a very bona fide top six scorer who finally got a little bit of a chance in Winnipeg. But from what I'm hearing, he's going to get a lot more of those opportunities in Carolina, probably first line, first power play unit, which he finally got in Winnipeg. But it seems like the Hurricanes no, we went and got you for $8.5 million for the next 6 seasons. We are going to give you all the ice time and opportunity that you deserve, that you should get. And I'm just excited to see what he can do, because when you have a nickname like Fly, and you can almost do I saw a highlight reel that NHL put out of him last season, 1-on-4, no issue, scored at top shelf. I'm like, sign me up for that for the next 6 seasons of a guy going coast to coast, going up against 4 guys and have a lethal shot. Yeah, I don't know how you cannot be excited for Nikolaj Ehlers to be a Carolina Hurricane for the next 6 seasons.
Obviously, last year, Mikko Rantanen comes. It doesn't work out. What do you think will be different about Ehlers that this will work, whereas Rantanen never quite did?
I think it just comes down to the fact that when you look at with Mikko Rantanen, you kind of hear afterwards that they were calling Colorado's bluff of do you want to be traded, stuff like that. He was going through contract stuff with them, then of course went through contract stuff with the Hurricanes, and immediately did that sign and trade to go to Dallas. Where I think with Nikolaj Ehlers, Ehlers knew right away that Carolina wanted him. They wanted him for the last couple of trade deadlines, and they were one of the first teams to get in contact with him and stuff like that. And he just, like what the Hurricanes, were going to present to him. He saw, what the young talent the team has. He thinks that, he wanted a different challenge. And he think he can do it in Carolina. So I think with the fact that he was so bought into Carolina right from the jump, and he's excited to be here, and the fact that that was one of his top teams that he wanted to go to. I think that's what's really going to help the Hurricanes, the fact that they got someone. It kind of takes away that narrative of how no one wants to sign in Carolina, which it's always wrong. I don't know why people – there's other teams that can get guys as well. It's not just Carolina, but I think when you get Ehlers, you see this like, okay, this guy wants to be here. He wants to – go to the next level, and it helps too that he's got a fellow countryman, Frederik Andersen, in net too. So now you get a couple Danes on the team. But I think it's, like I said, it's just with what the Hurricanes are able to have and him wanting to be here. I think that's gonna be a big difference compared to Ranton, where it's like a guy gets traded from the first team he's ever been with, but now you get Ehlers, who leaves the first team he's ever been with, but wants to be in a spot where he thinks he can take it to the next level of his game.
Brent Burns, Dmitry Orlov not coming back. How confident are you in the blue line, and who do you think steps up to replace Brent Burns?
I'm feeling pretty confident about the blue line because of the fact you look at, I mean, Father Time catches up to everyone, unfortunately, and that's just what happened to Brent Burns. Plus, he had a surgery in the offseason that I don't think a lot of people knew about, so I think there is that little bit of that step back that we saw. But I liked Burns. He did a lot. I mean, he also had a lot more on his plate this year than compared to the season previous, where you had Brett Pesce and, Brady Shea taking a lot of the other opportunities. So now with, Burns and Slavin took a little bit more of the responsibility and just everything else. I mean, nothing against Burns. It's just unfortunately got a lot of ice time, had a lot more responsibilities than usual, and just had a little bit of a step back. Orlov was all right. I mean, starting out wasn't the greatest. Of course, then he got paired up with Jalen Chatfield. I think he finally figured his footing out. But, I mean, you get the addition of Keandre Miller. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, he had a really down season with the Rangers, when honestly the entire team had a down season. So I can't really say it's on one guy. Yeah, he made mistakes, but he's 25. And plus, we all kind of know, Gil, like the Rangers aren't really the greatest team in terms of development. So I think, and you look at Carolina, who are basically the blue line whisperers, especially when you get Tim Gleason, former Hurricane there. I mean, they turned around Brady Shea when a lot of people thought Shea wasn't a great defensive coming out of the Rangers too. So I feel pretty confident. I mean, plus, like I said, Miller's got speed. His offensive upside is a lot higher than what Burns and Orlov was going to give you there, recently. 100 block shots, 100 hits. Like, Miller's probably the most physical guy, will eat the most pucks for the Hurricanes, so I'm not really worried about that. I know some people think $7.5 million is a little bit of an overpay. I mean, that's just, contracts are going to go up, and I think you're investing in a guy who's 25. I mean, $7.5 million by next offseason when the cap's going to be 104. I'm not worried about it. Plus, Alexander Nikishin, considered one of the best defensemen come out of the KHL. He was the captain of St. Petersburg SKA for the last two seasons at 22 and 23. Over 50 points in the last 3 seasons for a defenseman. Offensive upside, he old school hip checks. Like, how can you not be excited for that? So, yeah, I think you're going to see Shane Gostisbehere kind of pick his game up. Of course, he led defenseman in goals and points last year, so I'm not really too worried about that. Sean Walker got better as the season went along last year. Jalen Chatfield's going to get a lot more responsibilities too, because now it's like, okay, we're kind of looking at you to be the big speed guy outside of Gostisbehere. And of course, I mean, Jacob Slavin's the best defensive defenseman in the NHL. I'm not worried about that. So I'm feeling pretty confident overall. I think everyone's going to step their game up because, now you got 2 younger guys who are going to learn the system. But I think with where the Hurricanes are at, of course, just who they have been in the past, they've always been a top 5 defense. And when you got Tim Gleason, who's been kind of leading the way since Brendan Moore took over, not worried at all. I'm feeling pretty confident in this blue line too. There will be some growing pains, but I think as the season goes along, they're just going to fall right back into, the Hurricanes are a top 5 team, top 5 PK. Yeah, not worried about it.
What is your biggest concern with this roster as of right now?
I would say the health of the goaltending is still going to be the question I'm going to be going into the offseason or going into the regular season with, because you do have now Kane Primo. You do have Amir Miftakov in the AHL for the Wolves, which, at least with Primo, you do get kind of that AHL experience with him. He's definitely your break glass in case of emergency, and hopefully there is no doing that, because Frederik Andersen has missed over 70 games the last 2 seasons. That's going to be the biggest question mark. Can he stay healthy? And if he can stay healthy, you can't really, nothing against the guy. What are you supposed to do with it when you get a blood clot and then you have to get surgery on your knee in back-to-back seasons? Like, that's tough. Like, that's just bad luck for a guy like Frederik Andersen. It's not like, he just something random happened or what have you. If he can stay healthy, I think the Hurricanes are in a good spot for goaltending. I mean, a lot of people would question Pierre Kachekov. I mean, the guy had 27 wins last year, set a career high. I mean, any team would love to have a goalie with that win total. Yeah, his goals against average and save percentage weren't the greatest. It was sub 900, upper 2.5. But you also have to realize, too, the Hurricanes were resting guys for the last 9 games. So take those numbers with a grain of salt. Like, Pierre Kachekov's won 50 games in the last 2 seasons with Anderson now. Like, he helped the Hurricanes make the Stanley Cup playoffs back-to-back seasons. So I think it's just the health of the goaltending is going to be the big question. And I think it's just the overall scoring outside of I think just if you look outside of the top 6, can your bottom 9 also help with the depth scoring? I think that's going to be, it's not the super big concern, but it's kind of like, I want to keep an eye on it as the season goes along. But I would say the biggest concern, just stay healthy for goaltending. That's kind of the big thing for me with the Hurricanes.
All right, Zach, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Yeah, of course. You can find Locked On Hurricanes and wherever you listen to your podcast, and also on YouTube. There it's also on X at LO_Hurricanes. And if you want to keep up with me on X as well, it is at OneTrueZach on there as well.
All right, Zach, thanks so much.
Hey, thanks, Gil. Always appreciate talking to you.
Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you find the right candidates faster. I've been in that spot where you need to hire like yesterday. The pressure is on, and every day without the right person is a setback. That's exactly where Indeed Sponsored Jobs come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need.